Banks versus the Second Amendment? Senator Kennedy demands clear answers now. Hey everyone, welcome back to McLewis channel. Today, we're diving into a fiery Senate hearing where Senator John Kennedy took on some of the biggest banks in America. His demand? Answers on whether banks are debanking customers for supporting the Second Amendment or their religious beliefs. If you love videos on political showdowns and finance news, smash that like button and hit subscribe. Let's get into it.
Senator Warner is a reasonable man. Everybody on this committee knows that. And he's a good man. And I understand he's interested in process, and I'm not saying that process isn't important. But if the United States of America has been taking taxpayer money and using it to produce a transgender opera in Colombia, then I want to know about it. And I'm glad to know about it. And it seems to me that that's the main issue with respect to all of this. And I look forward to talking further with my friend, Mr. Warner, about that. I mean, for 4 years, under President Biden, as was his right, the topic of discussion in Washington was who needs to pay more in taxes? Who needs to pay more in taxes? That's no longer the main question. The main question is now, as it should be in my judgment, what the hell happened to all the money? And we're going to find out. Now, I need to get back to the subject, with the exception of Mr. Klein, whose testimony I enjoyed. I understand his position. He wants to let the CFPB run America's banks, and I appreciate that perspective, but Mr. Klein, it's not going to happen in your natural lifetime or mine. Now, let me turn to the other gentlemen. What I hear Mr. McCauley, Mr. Ring, and Mr. Gannon saying is that some of America's banks have been discriminating, debanking customers because of their religious beliefs, because they support the Second Amendment, or because they hate fossil fuels. I don't want to go with all three of you. I'll run out of time. Mr. Ring, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Which banks?
Well, I think it's been publicly reported that Bank of America has certainly picked and choose winners.
Who else?
I think Chase Bank has.
Who else?
I think Citibank has.
Who else?
I think Key Bank has.
Who else?
I'm going to probably run out of names pretty soon, but I think the mega banks are. Old Glory Bank is not, of course. We love the Second Amendment and fossil fuels.
We need to get those banks in here, Mr. Chairman. We need to get all those CEOs in here.
I would agree.
Now, why? I appreciate your candor. Why do you think, are banks doing this because they're scared of the regulators? Or are they doing this because the people running the banks are prosecuting their political beliefs? I mean, when a bank holds a seminar, taking up valuable employee time to discuss whether a man can breastfeed, are they doing that because regulators are leaning on them? Or are they doing that because the CEO really thinks that's subject to debate?
I think it's definitely the latter, and I think it's also middle management.
What do you mean the latter?
It is not the regulators. I do not believe the regulators pushed the big banks to debank conservative causes. I do not. I think it was their internal choice by these big banks.
Why?
Well, why? The same reason why big tech pick and choose winners. I think big banks pick and choose winners that they care about, and that's why we need a market solution, because you can't regulate that type of behavior without having unintended consequences. And now every time you get a customer application, you've got to fill out 5 forms as to why you did or did not pick that customer.
So you think that that's the management of these banks that are just imposing their own politics on customers and ultimately to the detriment of shareholders? Is that your testimony?
Yes, sir.
Either you two gentlemen in my last 10 seconds disagree with that?
I strongly disagree, Senator. Yes, I've spent a lot of time with a number of banks.
Who do you think it is?
I believe it's the regulators.
How about you, sir?
It's definitely regulators. All the big banks wanted to work with crypto and were scared away from it by the regulatory apparatus.
All right, I'm out of time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank all of you for your testimony. Mr. Ring, you work hard to protect your customers' sensitive personal information, do you not?
Yes, sir.
And you wouldn't just turn it over to anybody who walked into your bank, would you?
No.
And Mr. McCauley, I assume the same is true for...
So, what do you think? Should banks explain their debanking policies? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this interesting, like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to never miss an update. Thanks for watching. See you next time.